I still can't believe I got the chance to visit Tokyo. It had always been one of those dreams that felt almost impossible. I used to think maybe one day, but as they say,
never say never.
During my internship in Okinawa, I had the opportunity to fly to Tokyo. The main reason for the trip was actually paperwork. I was applying for my Canadian visa, so I had to complete a few appointments and documents. But in between all of that, I had 3 days to explore one of the most incredible cities in the world. The first thing that surprised me was just how huge Tokyo is. It's loud, busy, full of life, and it honestly feels like it never sleeps. And the metro, let's just say Tokyo's subway system is definitely not for the beginners. The first place I visited was a beautiful Japanese garden right in the middle of the city. I can't remember its exact name anymore because this trip was back in November 2025, but I still remember how peaceful it felt. There were little ponds, wooden bridges, flowers, dogs, geese, and so much greenery. It was the perfect escape from the busy street outside. There was also a small tea house where I enjoyed a cup of matcha and a small dessert. And then the next station is Shibuya. Of course, I had to visit one of Tokyo's most famous neighborhoods. It was crowded, full of energy, and exactly how I'd imagine it. And as a huge Jujutsu Kaisen fan, it was even more exciting to be there. I also stopped by one of those capsule toy stores and got a tiny ramen figurine, which is still one of my favorite souvenirs from Japan. I also got to see the famous Hachiko statue. And while I was in Shibuya, I had my very first authentic bowl of Japanese ramen. Even after trying many more ramen restaurants later on, I can still say this one was my favorite. Since my boyfriend is a big Pokemon fan, I visited the Pokemon Center and filmed a few clips for him. But honestly, one of my favorite things was simply wandering around the city. Near one of the temples, I saw people advertising kimono rentals, and I thought, when else am I going to have this opportunity? It turned out to be one of the highlights of my trip. I chose the kimono. They dressed me properly, provided traditional shoes and a matching handbag, styled my hair, and I could safely leave all my belongings in the lockers. And I don't know, walking around Tokyo wearing a kimono made me feel like I'd stepped into a movie or maybe even an anime. That evening I headed to Tokyo Skytree, and honestly, I don't think words can describe how beautiful it was. Standing at the top and looking over the endless lights of Tokyo at night was unforgettable. Seeing one of the world's biggest cities stretching all the way to the horizon is something I'll remember forever. They also took a souvenir photo that looked like a postcard, and of course I couldn't leave without one. After that, I spent some more time walking through the city before heading back to my hotel. The next day, one of my favorite stops was Tokyo Tower. I expected nice views, but I ended up loving the whole experience. Inside, there were exhibitions about the tower's history, interactive displays, and even the elevator ride was part of the experience because you could watch the city appear beneath you as you climb higher. They even offered free drinks and took professional souvenirs photo, so now I have another postcard to remember the trip, and I'd easily rate the whole experience 10 out of 10. After that, I visited the National Museum of Emerging Science and Innovation. It was one of the most interactive museums I've ever been to. Right at the entrance, there is a giant animated globe that immediately catches your attention. There were robots, hands-on exhibits, and plenty of fascinating science displays. But what impressed me the most was an area designed to help children understand what growing older feels like. Through interactive activities, visitors could experience how vision, hearing, memory, and even mobility change with age. So I thought that was such a thoughtful idea. Teaching empathy from a young age is something really special. And there was also a space exhibition with spacecraft models and many other fascinating displays. Later, I walked along Takeshita Street. I finally tried one of Tokyo's famous Japanese crepes filled with ice cream, which definitely worth the hype. I also found a cafe where they made adorable animals out of the milk foam on top of the coffee. It was almost too cute to drink. Naturally, I couldn't leave Tokyo without visiting a few anime stores. I bought a Naruto manga for myself and some small figures for my friends. Before flying back to Okinawa, I spent my last morning simply walking around the city one more time, enjoying the atmosphere and having lunch. That was my little 3-day adventure in Tokyo. I know I only saw a tiny part of what this incredible city has to offer, but I'm so grateful I had the chance to be there, and hopefully one day I'll come back.